Right, welcome back. Another CB200 video, and in this one I get to unwrap the carbs. So in previous videos you've seen these carbs coming off the bike all seized up. I've then cleaned them. You've seen the drastic steps I've taken to clean them, and then I've chosen to spray the choke arm red, so you saw that happening. I've then clear coated it and it's now ready for unwrapping, and I've been wanting to do this for ages but haven't had a chance, so let's unwrap him. So I'm hoping that the steps I've taken haven't in any way damaged long term the carbs. It is not a method, soaking the whole thing in vinegar is not a method I would recommend at all. But after saying that, the carbs are looking quite nice, clean, fresh, very bright. So the next stage is for me just to finish, or rather revisit, all the internal parts, just to make sure they are squeaky clean. Oh, those look quite nice. One. There we go, fully demasked. I think that looks pretty smart. Not sure how long it will last, but there we go. So there's the finish. Hopefully they, well, yeah, they still look a little bit pink, but I can assure you they are red. As red is red. Try and get something. So these are the lids from WD-40 as a comparison, and they look a bit purpley pinkish colour, but they're, you know, if you know the red of WD-40, that's what they are. So what I'm going to do is take out all the screws, etc., all the fittings. Open up all these valves, these vents and jets, etc. in here, and just give them a, you know, make sure I completely and utterly cleared them. I've also grabbed my set of these. So if you've not seen these before, what you're looking for is airbrush cleaning kits. These are for cleaning, you know, airbrushes in spray guns, either the really small ones for modelling, or the large ones for automotive. So a set of those to clean inside bits, and in addition to that, and something to be extremely gentle with when using, is a set of these. So these are Welding Nib Files, as it were. So they're wires in different thicknesses that are then got grooves in them, so they're like a file. They're not like a file cut, but they are rough, so we can use these for probing into holes. The trick with these though is not to go into a hole and sort of file it out to make it bigger. It's more a case of just making sure it's clean and crisp. So I'll be using those, and I'll be using some Brasso on the brass parts. So yeah, I'm going to crack on and go from there. So let's crack on. So there's all the parts replaced back in there, just cleaned. I've made sure all the openings, orifices, tubes, vents, valves, everything like that are all clear and clear of any dirt and debris. Here's a note if you're not familiar with this. So there is, so I'm just going to tap that down in there. So on this is the bit that you actually pull up and down, and actually this is the bit that actually makes the throttle increase the air and fuel mixture to the motorbike. There are two grooves. There's a thin long groove and there's a short fat groove. I don't know how well you'll make out in here, but there's a sloped surface in here, and this goes, well, it will go in two ways, but only one way is the way it works. So inside this groove is a little pin on one side fixed, and that's the one that goes along this, and this side should line up with the screw for adjusting the height, as it were, the idle speed. So when you're looking down into there, if the screw's this side, then you want to make sure this side of this unit is facing it. So that will go in, and it should drop all the way down to the bottom. If you put it in the wrong way, so putting it through 180 degrees, it will still go in but won't go down. It will stay there. If you then start the bike, your bike will just rev the bollocks off it. So you need to make sure that when you put this in, the side with the adjustment screw here is the side that takes this part of it. So that goes in nice and gently all the way down, and then you can see how that works in there. So if I bring it up, and then of course you've got your choke action here. So that's one done. So I'm going to crack on and do exactly the same to the other carb, so the left hand carb, as I've just done. So make sure all the tubes, all the vents, all the nozzles, all the needles, etc. are all nice and clean as I can get them. And then the next job is replacing all the seals, gaskets, O-rings, washers, etc. etc. From the kit I've got. Right, here we are set up to replace the seals and gaskets, etc. on a carburettor. So there's the part. Hopefully you can make it out. If not, I'll put the details in the description below. So let's get this open. Let's get the seals out. Let's start having a look. So my guess is going to be that this part A, is going to be for the separator joining piece, as it were. Yep, that's what I think. That's what I'd save as that one, so leave that in there for now. But the first thing to do is to put all these parts together. Now, if you've not done this before, I will try and show you, but because it could be quite a lengthy process, I might fast forward through some of the bits and shut up and fast forward. So first off, I did do an intermediary part since the last video, and that was I went through all the bits again and gave them all another brush and a clean, again making sure all the gaps were open, etc. And a tool that I did use and have used are these. Here are some different ones. So these are sort of brushes for going in between your teeth, but they're quite cool in that they come in a variety of sizes. So in this pack we've got 0.45, 0.5 and 0.6 brush head sizes, and they're really great for getting into the small gaps and the small holes, etc., that are in these parts, sort of inside this bit here. And so really good for brushing in. I wouldn't use any kind of solvents or anything with them at all, just for brushing in, eking out bits and bobs. So the first thing to really sort of look at is getting the main bits together. So the first bit is this with then a needle. So drops into there, don't let it drop, take it in there nice and gently. And then there is this clip. Again, hopefully, I don't know how well you're going to be seeing any of this, but hopefully you will. And it's a case of pinching it with the tweezers and then taking it down inside and pushing it against the needle, and that stops the needle moving up, but isn't, you know, a hardcore fitting. Next bit to do is to come into here, and the first thing to do is to replace our first seal. So there's a seal going on. So for O-rings and those kinds of things, I generally use the smallest amount of Vaseline, and I do mean the smallest amount. If you just like wet your fingers with it. Before I go any further, let's do the float height. Okay, the float height for the Honda CB200 is 21 millimeters. Now, 21 millimeters. So I understand that to be from this edge to the top of there rather than the inside edge. So we'll see what we are at the moment. I'm going to have to go out of shot a bit, I'm afraid. So I've got some discrepancy here in that this height and the height on the far side are different. I also have a wondering if actually the spring and the pin in that little needle bit there is actually a little bit weak, because there's quite a lot, there's not a lot of sort of energy going back on that. So my first thing to do is to look at the actual float, and I can see that this float is considerably lower than this float, so I need to try and adjust that first off. So what I'm doing is very carefully twisting the unit to try and get both floats at the same height. Hopefully you can see now that I've got those floats looking a little bit more even, but if we go by this inner measurement in here, we're still quite a way off the 21 millimeters that it should be. So I wonder if actually the spring, and when I say the spring in the what I'm referring to is the spring in this part here. Have I lost some of its strength? So I need to look into that. But at the minute I'm going to try and bend that. So I'm using a set of flat pliers, and I'm just going to try and get somewhere in there where I can put a bit more bend on the little lug that engages in that needle. So put it back together again. So again, a bit more. Okay, so measuring that distance there with it completely upright, the vernier is just skimming the top of it, so I'm going to have that as adjusted. That's fine for me. So the next bit to do is just to do the generic adjustment on the air screw and the idle adjustment screw. Right, the general figures from the book are 1.5 turns for the jet screw, so let's do 1.5 turns for that. Half, 1, 1.5. Then this one adjusts the throttle height and therefore how to tick over, etc. And I'm actually going to leave that just done up tight, just done up to its maximum for now, and leave that carb as being done. So the next bit is then over here, and that's this seal into here, and the aluminium washer goes onto that. Now I'm not going to do that until I come to put it on the bike. is a an O-ring left for this face, and an aluminium crush washer for this screw in here as well, which I will do later prior to putting it on. So the next step is to actually get them on the bike, but that I need to hold off on a little bit longer. But there are the two carbs all done. Right, the next task for these two is to adjust the choke, or the level of the throttle in there, by adjusting the outer screws on there to get them even and balanced in the right place, and then final adjustment will be done on the bike once we get it going and sorted out. But other than that, that's the carbs done. There we go. Two carbs nicely rebuilt. So that was a quick little brief video of replacing the seal sets for the Honda CB200 carburettors. Quite a simple task, a seal set, very simple once you've got it all sorted out and clean. I have got a full needle and everything replacement kit, but hopefully I won't need it, though the spring in the valve in this one was a little bit weaker than I'd like it to be, but we'll see how it pans out. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe for notifications of future videos, and yeah, I'll see you next time.